Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast here at the CharlotteSportsBlog.com. I'm Mark Calcagne, and today I'm joined by our lead basketball writer, Jonathan Hobby, to discuss the Hornets offseason. Jonathan, overall, what did you think of Charlotte's 4 free agent signings?
I think Rich Cho has followed his schedule, and a lot of fans were worrying at the beginning, but at the end of the day, Rich Cho knew exactly what he was doing. He was able to get a good backup point guard for maybe a lesser value than some of the other backups on the market, and that enabled to bring in Lance Stevenson, of course, and I think Marvin Williams is a very underrated signing, and while people were upset with the Josh McRoberts thing leaving to Miami, I think Marvin Williams should be a good replacement to Josh McRoberts to start at power forward next year, and I just overall think it was a very good offseason for the Charlotte Hornets, and maybe some more moves could be made, but thus far they look like a much better team, not only next year but also in the future.
Yeah, you mentioned that some additional moves could be made. With the addition of Lance Stevenson, could you see Gerald Henderson being moved?
Well, of course, when Stevenson was gone, or Stevenson was signed, a lot of people were saying, oh, Gerald's gone and his days are numbered. And I think that might be a fair assumption under the condition that Lance Stevenson and Gerald Henderson are very similar players. It just seems like Stevenson is better at almost everything. Even though his points per game didn't reflect that last year, I think that's just watered down, Stevenson being on the team with more options, and Henderson just was kind of forced to score last season. But I do think that Henderson could be moved, and when you look at the shooting guard spot with the guy, you got Stevenson starting, and then backups, you got 3 guys who are capable of playing. And I'm sure they want to keep either Neal or Henderson. As Coach Clifford has said, Harrison's probably not ready to take on big minutes this season. But I think that it is likely that Henderson, or maybe even Neal, but more likely Henderson, is moved before we start the season.
Well, in addition, how do you think Steve Clifford will manage Lance Stevenson and some of the on-court antics that we saw last year during the playoffs?
Well, you know what, Mark? I think, Clifford's just the right guy to limit those antics. But the thing that's great about this contract is I really don't see Stevenson being the player he was last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. I see him coming to Charlotte, much more focused player, and sort of, a more mature young man at shooting guard. Because when you look at the contract, it was not for the money that he could be getting. He knows that, and he knows that some of those antics really cost him on the open market. So I would expect Stevenson to come in and really more mature and limit those things and really put his head down and have great 3 years here, knowing that when that 2 or 3 years is up, hopefully 3 if he does well, then obviously the Hornets would exercise the 3rd year, then, he's going to get potentially a max contract.
Finally, the 2014-15 NBA schedule is very close to being released by the league. What team would you most like to see the Hornets open with to start a new era in Charlotte basketball?
Well, that's a good question, and I think I'd like to see the Hornets play a team like Miami or Indiana, or maybe even Atlanta, just a team, Washington, someone like that who is going to be good competition for the Hornets and are going to be fighting for hopefully home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. And I think that'd be good, and playing Miami would be great after them sweeping the Hornets in the playoffs. I'm sure the Hornets would like some revenge, and Miami's still going to be a good team this year, and I think that's a team that the Hornets could possibly beat on a consistent basis if this roster stays healthy throughout the season.
Well, that's it, everybody, for a podcast here at the CharlotteSportsBlog.com. Be sure to check back for all things Hornets and Panthers all summer long. Thanks for listening.